Aurora's search for a new police chief has gone off the rails, if it was ever on track to begin with. After a second of their 3 finalists withdrew from consideration, the city announced within the last hour it's going to restart the search for a police chief to lead that department, which is under a court order to reform the way it does business. Colorado's most diverse city actually brought in a search firm that specializes in finding a diverse field of candidates and ended up with 3 white men as finalists. One dropped out before the interview, so Aurora brought in Scott Ebner and David Franklin for a 3-day interview. During the process, Franklin, chief of staff for the Albuquerque PD, withdrew his name. So Ebner's the last man standing. City manager could have put Ebner before city council for a vote, but they've decided that they will restart the process instead. Aurora says it received 21 applications for police chief. 7 were from women or people of color, and the city says that 2 of the 7 made the semi-finalist round. None made the final round. We've asked Aurora if they plan to use that same recruitment firm for round 2. City says it's too early to tell. Colorado's election workers are preparing for Election Day in all the usual ways, testing machines, preparing ballots, and they're also preparing in the new ways, adding bulletproof glass to offices and monitoring online death threats from conspiracy theorists. Our Mark Salinger shows us why Colorado is a particular target of the extremists who believe the baseless lie that the 2020 election was rigged.
Election Day is getting close. The number of threats election workers are facing is going up.
It is a major concern for us.
Matt Crane is the executive director of the Colorado County Clerks Association and a former Republican clerk in Arapahoe County. The final weeks leading up to November 8th worry him.
My biggest concern is that there is going to be something that happens where somebody takes a shot at or tries to physically harm an election official.
While the focus in 2016 and 2020 was on cybersecurity and foreign involvement in our elections, this year Matt searches for information constantly about new threats against his team that administers elections. Stopping it is much harder.
What are we hearing? What are the rumors that are out there? And making sure clerks are aware of that.
CBS News reports the FBI is warning of unusual levels of threats to election workers in 7 states. The FBI won't confirm that report to us, but Matt isn't surprised Colorado is on the list. He's living through it every day.
We've had people who have put in bulletproof glass. We've had people who have put in dividers higher so people can't see in, increased cameras, increased access controls. There's a lot of things that have gone on over the last 2 years.
Matt says his Republican colleagues have been on the receiving end of the majority of the threats, coming from people mad at them for not supporting the lie that the 2020 election was stolen.
When you have Republican election officials that walk into these meetings and stand up and say, wait a second, that's not true, and we can prove it. And then it's those people, it's people in those meetings who then come after them. They start trying to assassinate their character.
Focusing on security, both of the ballots and the workers.
Oh, it's disgusting. It's abhorrent, but it's the world we live in right now.
Matt says he sees an increase in threats after specific events. For example, when Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters was arrested, he saw more threats against election workers across the state. Now he's monitoring things like online talk of groups organizing to go out to drop boxes and watch them on Election Day. Kyle, the clerks are working to administer a fair election while also staying safe themselves.
Sounds like they have a volume issue when it comes to the threats.
Yeah, the FBI looks into these things. They refer them to local police departments as well. But when there's just a lot, it's hard to discern what's important and what you really need to look into and what's just another threat that's coming over the internet.
Yeah. All right. Mark Salinger, thank you. District Court judge has dismissed a COVID vaccine complaint that came from students and staff at the CU Med School. They said that the requirement violates their religious freedoms. The lawsuit deals with 2 university policies that came about last September. The first allowed medical staff and students to be exempt from COVID vaccine requirements, but only if their religious beliefs oppose all vaccines, including flu shots. Later in the month, CU changed the policy to remove exemptions entirely for students, so now only staff can ask for a religious vaccine exemption. Several of the faculty members listed in the suit say they tried and their claims were denied. The district court sided with CU and said the school did not violate any rights through their mandates. Lawyers for the students and staff have not yet told us that they plan to appeal. Shrinking snowpack on Colorado's mountains means that less water runs off into our water supply each year. We have talked about the impact on snowpack that humans have through climate change. Well, how about the inverse impact? how we make snow in the mountains. So Denver water and ski resorts both get use out of the snow that naturally falls in Grand and Summit counties. Ski resorts use the snow in the winter. Denver water collects the runoff in the spring. But that snow accumulation is shrinking due to a variety of factors: drought, wildfires, climate change. So resorts are increasingly reliant on snowmaking to make up the difference. That process already uses about 2 billion gallons of water each year in Colorado. The resorts have to borrow that water from Denver water storage areas. State legislators have drafted a proposal that calls for more snowmaking. They're referring to it as high-altitude water storage, like put it up there and wait for it to come down. Ski resorts would be able to get more of an early season base, and then what doesn't evaporate would make it into the water supply is the hope. But it would require Denver water with being comfortable with more water being used for snowmaking up front. You know, you can find out exactly how much money your county's spending every month by just picking up a newspaper. County governments are required by state law to post their checkbooks in the local paper of record each month. A group representing county governments told our Steve Steger, you know, now that the internet exists, it might be time to be done with that.
1901, that was the year that President McKinley was assassinated, and Teddy Roosevelt, who was vice president at the time, became president. It was the year that Alfred Packer was finally let out of prison for eating most of the Democrats in Hinsdale County.
And it was the year that Colorado passed a law requiring county governments statewide to post their monthly expenses in the local newspaper.
It made sense then.
But Eric Bergman with Colorado Counties Inc. says it doesn't make sense now.
We are the only level of government that has to publish this.
Bergman and the county governments he represents argue the law is archaic, much like the week-old newspaper I was handed today at the gas station when I asked for a copy of today's paper for this story.
In the era when everyone gets their news from their tablets, their phones, their computers, that it's just unfair, it's inequitable. Our idea is that we should be able to publish this online. We should have the option to put this on our websites and archive it that way.
Newspapers argue this is important information that people need to see.
So it's really a transparency issue, just like open meetings and open records, and we view it very much in that light.
Tim Reagan Porter represents newspapers as the CEO of the Colorado Press Association.
What's going on financially at counties is of obvious import to citizens in that county and really all across the state.
He points to website traffic numbers, for instance. SEM Rush Analytics found the Denver Post's homepage gets 4 times the traffic of Denver's government site. The Boulder Daily Camera, 5 times Boulder County's homepage.
It's clear that local news sites, newspapers, TV stations, some radio stations, they have by far the most visited websites in their community. And we are providing a service for the government and for citizens.
Near the end of Democratic Governor John Hickenlooper's administration, the state legislature actually passed a measure that would stop this requirement for counties. But the governor vetoed it at the time, saying at the time there were too many people without access to broadband. This is also a financial issue for some newspapers who rely on this income in smaller communities, maybe where you don't have as robust of an advertising base. You can count on the county coming in with this money, though Colorado Counties Inc. says maybe that's an indication of a problem that county governments don't need to pay for.
Sure. We have also seen the opportunity for county governments to use their funding of newspapers through legal notices as a potential means of retaliation. Down in Custer County, Kate Eastman was telling us how commissioners moved their legal notices from a paper that was critical of them to one that was nice to them.
Because they didn't like their reporting, right? They moved all of those notices there. There's a lawsuit in that case right now. The Wet Mountain Tribune is actually suing the county saying, why'd you move? You know, you've done business with us for years.
Yeah.
It's a significant portion of finances for a lot of these smaller
for those small papers. Yeah. Can you imagine if we had to do it on TV? It'd be like, Arapahoe County Human Services spent $17 on bagels in the office today.
Yeah. Starbucks.
Yeah.
Is what, yeah.
We'll leave it for
I had no idea that this was out there in the newspaper, to be honest, that kind of specificity.
Yeah. Flip to the back.
Yeah.
Flip all the way to the back.
Check it out.
Colorado's farmers are feeling the pressure of rising prices and a warming climate. There's a plan to take some of that weight off them. Speaking of how stuff grows, there's a little seed causing enormous problems.
They'll get in the bottom of your shoes, but they'll also get into bicycle tires.
So one guy has made it his mission to clean up the trails. Next.
This state's farmers are in crisis. Colorado ranks in the top 10 states for suicides each year, and the CDC says agricultural workers are twice as likely as people in other occupations to take their own lives. Mental health professionals point to a number of factors. The inflation increasing the cost of food production, drought, climate concerns, the lack of mental health care in rural areas. That means that a lot of farm workers aren't able to get help locally. So the Colorado Department of Agriculture is spending $500,000 to try and take resources on the road. Programs expanding virtual mental health resources, taking Spanish-speaking therapists to meet with migrant workers, providing accessibility aids for farmers with disabilities.
There's barriers around stigma. It's harder to ask for help. Obviously, in our rural communities, there's lower access, lower availability. Affordability can be an issue because oftentimes, our producers are self-employed, so they may not have insurance.
And then we also wanted to meet the needs of farmers and ranchers in a way that really works for them. So literally meeting them where they're at, even if that includes being in the field with the folks while they're working.
The state is offering up they're offering up 6 free sessions with the Colorado Agricultural Addiction and Mental Health Program. And a reminder, there are also community resources available to folks in ag or anyone else. You can call 988 or reach Colorado Crisis Services any day, any hour by calling 1-844-493-8255 or texting the word TALK to 38255. If you have walked or biked on trails around Denver, there's a decent chance you've met Goathead, the spiky vine that grabs your shoes, grabs your pet's fur, can even get embedded in your bike tires. One man has made it his mission to tackle the Goathead issue, but he says he shouldn't be doing it alone.
This is how I get in shape, and I love it. Cycling the Denver trails is really enjoyable.
Let's cross Savannah.
I moved to a different part of town, and so I started riding different trails, and I noticed them.
Get this bag out.
I've had some experience with them in the past.
My digging tool.
But I thought, I'll do some removal.
This one is full of those seed pods.
Goathead is also known as puncture vine. It produces seeds with spikes. That's why they call them goat heads. Those seeds will get into pets' paws. They'll get into the bottom of your shoes, but they'll also get into bicycle tires and frequently cause a puncture and possibly a flat. Hi there. Well, I've been doing so much Goathead collection, and my wife decided we needed a catchy name, so I'm Goathead Greg. This year I decided to keep records.
This is what I've done this year, 547 pounds, just this year. Try and get it through here.
As a Class C noxious weed, it's up to cities and counties and local governments or trail authorities to remove the weed. And they may or may not do it.
It's like 15.4.
Well, I have reached out to Denver. The city of Denver hasn't really had much to say. But it seems in conflict with, e-bike initiative and getting cars off the road. You do that, now you got all these people riding e-bikes and say, well, that was great, but I get flats all the time. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to drive. We really ought to be helping them out by protecting, them from flats on the trails. It's my giving back. I love these trails, and I want them to be safe for everybody to ride.
Tonight I'm watching a few clouds kind of drifting in from the northwest. You can kind of see looking off to the north in and around the Fort Collins area, some darker skies. We do have a few isolated showers out there, few just to the south of I-70 heading out toward Lamar, few in and around the Trinidad area. Otherwise, as we zoom in, you'll notice a couple of those showers dropping off into the foothills. Futurecast possibly bringing us a few showers here in Denver as we look ahead toward about 10, 11 o'clock at night. Keep that in mind. By about 7, 8 a.m. tomorrow, the sunshine is back with us. It's beautiful. 5, 6 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, most of the shower activity staying well to our south and south of I-70. This ridge of high pressure starts to push back in. That means we have a drier day on deck for us and slightly warmer temperatures for us tomorrow. Back to the upper 60s, low 70s. Right now, isolated showers return to us on Friday with a warmer weekend to come.
A short meeting with him left us in awe of the power of saying thank you. Tonight, we remember a veteran who gave gratitude just as he received it. Next.
There are many measures of a fulfilling life. Take gratitude, the chance to tell the people who matter to you that you are grateful for them and what they've done. And then the chance to hear from folks who are grateful for you and what you've done. By that measure, the life of Les Mendelson of Denver was very fulfilling, right up to its 98th year when he recently passed away peacefully at home.
We met Les together in a meeting place, that spot at the airport where reunions happen. 5 years ago, coming home from an honor flight to Washington, Les was reunited with the gratitude that first greeted him when he came home from his decorated service in World War II. Les allowed our photojournalist Chris to set up a 360-degree camera to capture the crowd's reaction and his.
Wow.
Les Mendelson's family described him as a humble man despite his successful business career. We saw it that day in his awe that Coloradans would greet him with cheers. And Les himself clearly knew the power of gratitude.
My name's Les Mendelson. We met in 2017. I was the honored fighter from World War II guy.
He left us this voicemail earlier this year. Final lesson for all of us.
All I'm trying to do is reach out and thank people who were nice to me in my life. I'm going to be 98 in a couple of months if I make it, but that's not the reason to call. I just want to thank you. Thank you for the nice things you did for us when we came back from D.C. on that honored flight. I wish you all the best of good health and happiness for a long life. Bye for now, Chris. Thank you.
In weed feedback, Kev Trujillo says, Goathead Greg, doing the Lord's work. I'll see you after the Great American Beer Fest.